This episode of PWS United is sponsored by Soleno Therapeutics.
Welcome to PWS United, a podcast for the Prader-Willi syndrome community, brought to you by PWSA USA. This podcast gives the latest news in research, advocacy, and family support by bringing together staff, volunteers, PWS treatment specialists, biotech and pharmaceutical representatives, caregivers, family members, and individuals with PWS. Our goal is to share education, awareness, and resources with those living with PWS and their supporters. Join us in our mission to enhance the quality of life and empower those affected by Prader-Willi syndrome.
All right. Well, we are back with another episode of PWS United. I'm here with my co-host, Carrie, and we're going to get into the pulse. But first, Carrie, do you want to just give a little shout out to the nice little vacation you just had?
Yes, happy to give a shout out to Vancouver. They're doing things right over there, let me just say. But yeah, we just got back from a wonderful ski trip. We tried to take a big one every winter just to try to keep ourselves sane. It's just honestly what we have to do in the winter here. It's so miserable and we need a little escape and to find joy in the winter, I will say. So this trip this year was a big one. It was a bucket list trip for all of us who went, and we did Whistler in Canada, which again is near Vancouver. And what a gorgeous area! Amazing skiing, just the best time. I am not regretting my 4 hours of sleep at all from our flights yesterday because it was such a great trip. So, yeah, I highly recommend if you're a skier or if you just love nature and beauty to go take a trip over there. And the travel was so easy. It really was one of the easier travels that I've had, especially out of the country. So,
Nice.
yeah, highly recommend.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I'm glad you got to go. Well, now let's go ahead and get into our pulse. And this is volume 141. This came out on February 20th, 2026. And I see that that is wrong.
We are only human, Annie. I do
Okay.
them all the time.
Oh,
Oh
no.
my god.
Okay. Well, so if you got the pulse on Friday, March 6th, and we're wondering about the date, I apologize. This
We do
should
our best.
be,
Mhm.
yeah, I am human. Yeah, so this should be volume 142, came out March 6th, and this was in honor of National Nutrition Month, our header. We wanted to bring in a little bit about that because March is National Nutrition Month, and as you all know, nutrition and diet is a huge part of PWS. Food security and a healthy diet are critical for managing the hyperphagia and slow metabolism that generally comes with PWS. So, this heavy focus on food security and nutrition can be a constant stress for families, but thankfully, we are here to help. So, we did include in this pulse a variety of resources to help families navigate nutrition concerns, and we are always updating and adding to our list of resources. So if you want to know what those resources are, or if you want to access those resources, we'll have links to those in the show notes. And I'll just give you a little clue to what they are. One is a blog post that was written a year or two ago, but it's about how to discuss nutrition in the PWS community and how it is important to remember that PWS affects families in a variety of ways, and what works for one family may not work for another. So when we are discussing nutrition, there are many factors that affect the decisions families make. Some of these decisions are based on the individual with PWS age, their development stage, and their activity level. And other factors include socioeconomic status, cultural or ethnic backgrounds, education, environment, and access to food choices. So these are all things that are really important when you are discussing nutrition. I know sometimes there can be a lot of questions and maybe some passionate conversation on
Mhm.
social media about nutrition. And so we just want to make sure people remember some really key things. So you can find a link to that. We also have a great blog post by Michael Tan, who is a dietitian at the University of Florida. He works with Dr. Miller. He wrote a great blog post. I think it's geared more towards younger kids with
Mhm.
PWS, but check it out. You're going to find some great information information. And then we have a few other links like our diet nutrition resource hub and a document on the 7 nutritional phases and subphases. So check out the show notes for links to those and celebrate Nutrition Month. Also, we are on our socials, Facebook and Instagram. We are sharing every Monday a new PWS friendly recipe. And there are some really great recipes. This next week, I'll be sharing one that Dee Dee sent in for sag paneer, which I
Mm,
love. I'm actually going to make it for dinner
yeah.
tonight. So,
I know this is handy for you, Annie, because you get
yeah.
the first and you're like, "Ooh, I'm gonna make all of these."
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I'm really excited. There's some good ones in there. So, yeah, check out our socials for that. So, our spotlight on PWS was submitted by Barbara Carlson in honor of Patricia, who is just called Trisha. And she was born into the Prader-Willi community in 1958. Most everything written about Prader-Willi and its symptoms and challenges fits Trisha to a T. It's as if someone looked through the window of her life and documented Prader-Willi. Trisha once weighed over 220 pounds, has had multiple fractures, lives with digestive issues requiring an ostomy, has had psychological and behavioral issues, engages in skin picking, and on and on. She also remembers everyone, does puzzles, enjoys coloring, and has a very special friend. Trisha loves life and loves her family. This past year, however, was one of uncertainties for Trisha with several hospital visits, but once again, Trisha surprised us all. She's a fighter and never gives up. On February 1st of this year, Trisha turned 68.
Mm,
What an accomplishment. We love you. And again, that was submitted by Barbara Carlson. So thank you for submitting that and these beautiful photos of Trisha from when she was younger and on her birthday, 68. That is definitely an accomplishment. So
yeah.
thank you for that.
I love how it was written too. It was so beautifully told. You kind of feel like you really know her through that
Yeah.
just small synopsis of her life living with PWS and living this beautiful, happy, full life. So I'm so glad that they submitted this and that we get to spotlight Trisha. And those pictures are really sweet because they show her young and they show her like today seemingly and she has so much joy.
Uh
She's like the
huh.
smiliest that would light anyone's face up, light any room
Yes.
up, that kinda smile, so, thank you for submitting that.
So we also shared our new PWS resource for the month, and this one is for swallowing and Prader-Willi syndrome. Once a month, we're putting out a new resource we're calling them family friendly because they're just easier to read, easier to look at. There's graphics, there's bullet points. We love bullet points. So it's kind of like easier to access for families. So again, this one is about swallowing in PWS, and it is an easy to understand resource to help parents and caregivers recognize signs of swallowing difficulties, understanding silent aspiration, and learning practical mealtime and pill swallowing tips to help keep children safe and healthy. From knowing when to ask for a swallow study to simple habits that can make a big difference, this guide is designed to support families every step of the way. And you will find a link to that resource in the show notes. And I do want to say that this document was developed with support from a grant provided by Soleno Therapeutics. So thank you to Soleno.
So moving on now to some events and fundraisers coming up. We have a lot of events actually coming up. I'm just gonna run through the
Okay.
list quick before I announce the new ones. But just to give everyone a reminder, some save the date reminders, we have the Clint Hurdle Hot Stove Dinner happening March 21st in Bradenton, Florida. And we'll have the link to register and to find the amazing auction items in our show notes for that one. There's also the Prader-Willi Association New York conference happening April 17 through 18 in Syracuse, New York. And again, we'll have a registration link in our show notes for that. Our DC fly-in, of course, that we're so excited about. That's going to come so quickly. We're literally less than 2 months away, Annie. It's nuts. It's going to be here
My God.
May 4th. Yeah, I know. May 4th through 6th, again in Washington, DC. And registration is actually full for that one, but we're going to have our asks that we'll put out in a few weeks, I would guess at this point. I'm not 100% sure, but it'll come soon. And we're hoping to have, similar to the last fly in, a way that people at home can participate as well and share those asks with their representative. So just keep a lookout. If you're not attending, we'll try to figure out a way to get everyone involved where they can. And then we also have our Residential Providers Conference happening August 21st through 22nd in Savannah, Georgia. This is just for residential providers. To attend, we will again have registration link in the show notes. And then the Moms Retreat is happening October 16 through 17 in Park City, Utah. We are also completely full for this one and have moved to a wait list. So if you want to join the wait list, we will have the link in our show notes for that as well.
Random aside, I do a once a month poetry event and it's at this tasting room, the Septentrio tasting room. And I know the family that started it because they were in our class. They grow grapes out here. Anyway, we just found out that they're now opening a Septentrio tasting room in Park City, Utah.
Cool. Park City is amazing.
Yeah, I've never been. I'm excited.
Oh, you're gonna love it. It's gorgeous.
I want to go hiking, is what I want.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be able to. So those are events coming up that we're really excited about. Again, you can find the links to learn more, to register in our show notes. But we have a couple of new events that were just announced recently that we want everyone to be aware of and get excited for. And the first one that we're sharing is that Prodder Silly, a Night of Rare Laughs, is coming back for its second year. And this time it's taking place on Wednesday, September 30th, 2026. Happening at the same location, though. It's the Zanies Comedy Club in Nashville, Tennessee. And once again, it is a one night only comedy fundraiser benefiting PWSA USA. The evening will be hosted by PWS parents Aaron Weber and Lucy Sinsheimer of Nashville, who are also parents to Sweet Olive, who is one. And the night will feature a top secret celebrity lineup of nationally acclaimed comedians. This is way more than just a comedy show. It is a night of gathering, giving, and gut busting laughter in support of families impacted by Prader-Willi syndrome. So expect a powerhouse comedy lineup and a few surprise guest appearances that we're keeping under wraps for right now. But come for the laughs, stay for the cause, and show up for the PWS community. And you can purchase tickets now, and we'll have the link in our show notes to do that. There's also another great event coming up for the first time, and it is the Dad Venture Retreat 2026. So this is taking place July 24th through 26th in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It is coordinated by Jonathan Andrews and Matt Rivard, and this retreat will be a great opportunity for dads to come together and learn more about themselves and each other while having fun. So more information will be released once the details and plans are solidified, but you can email Jonathan or Matt with any questions that you have, and we will have those email addresses in our show notes. And just a shout out to the dads for doing this and putting it on, pulling it together. I love that it's another opportunity for parents in the community because we have the Moms Retreat in
Yeah.
October, and then this Dads Retreat will be taking place in July. So
Yeah.
very cool. I'm excited for all the parents out there.
I was telling Andy about it and telling him he should ride his motorcycle out there. I think it'd be just a cool experience
Yeah. And you're
for all the
planning to
dads
go
there.
to the Moms Retreat.
I will be doing journaling sessions at Mom's Retreat. I'm very excited for that. So,
So cool.
yeah, and hanging out and hiking.
Yeah, it's a good spot for it.
So, we're going to move on to advocacy. And this first post is Rare Disease Advocacy in Action. From state capitals to Washington, D.C., and even the global stage, members of the PWS community are stepping up and making an impact. In this blog, you'll read inspiring stories of advocacy in action, including representation at a legislative lunch in New Hampshire, a special PWS specific book event with a surprise announcement, national policy conversations during Rare Disease Week, grassroots organizing that protected critical caregiver hours in Nebraska, and global recognition from the World Economic Forum. These stories are a powerful reminder that when the PWS community shows up, voices are heard and change happens. So you can find a link to this blog in our show notes. We also have a blog of reflections from Rare Disease Week on Capitol Hill. So PWS advocates returned from Every Life Foundation's Rare Disease Week energized and inspired for the work ahead, especially as we look toward PWSA USA's DC fly-in this May. So 22 PWS advocates, including 4 individuals living with Prader-Willi syndrome, gathered on Capitol Hill alongside 800 plus other rare disease champions from across the country. Traveling from communities nationwide, they came together with one shared purpose: to ensure the PWS community's voice is heard where decisions are made. While they were on the ground advocating, we asked several of them to share their favorite moments from the week. And if you want to read those, you will find a link to that in the show notes. And spoiler alerts, one of their one of our advocates had this to say, and this is leading into promoting our Rare Aware Art Share. So, Mom Jennifer Andrews experienced the incredible power of art while she was in DC for Rare Disease Week. And she said, it was incredibly powerful. During the event, the rare artists spoke about the power of art to communicate things words can't. They've brought their artwork into congressional offices and shared it with lawmakers, saying, I could tell you about my rare disease, but you can also look at this and I will tell you everything you need to know. They talked about expanding access to art for everyone in the rare disease community as a meaningful form of expression and about the powerful way art brings people together.
I love that.
So good. And this quote came from a Facebook Live that Elaine did while she was there. So we could see some of that art in the background.
Mhm.
So that was really cool. But we wanted to share this as a way to encourage families out there to send in artwork from their loved one with PWS. So individuals with PWS of all ages, no matter where they are, whether they're going to DC or not, we are asking them to submit some artwork on the topic of advocacy and awareness. So that artwork could be about them advocating in DC or them just telling a friend about PWS, or maybe they're inspired by another advocate and they want to make a piece of art around them. Just anything about advocacy and awareness, and mostly a way to share the voices, the artistic voices of individuals with PWS. So we have extended that deadline to April 1st,
Mhm.
and we would love to see some art. And this artwork will be, I know we've talked about this several times, but just a reminder that this artwork, it could be anything as long as you can take a picture of it and send it in. There's no money exchange. This isn't a fundraiser. There's no judgment. This isn't a competition. This is just a fun way to take your loved one to DC with us. So we're gonna make a fun like postcard, some artwork on it with some information about PWS, and these will all be left in the congressional offices that we visit. Yeah, so you'll find a link to that in the show notes, and we look forward to seeing your art.
I think just to add, this really does leave such a lasting impression and a way that is memorable for the lawmakers, for their office staff to really understand Prader-Willi syndrome. It's something that they can be like, "Oh, yeah, that the postcard with all the gorgeous artwork, like, I remember PWS. I remember that group being here." It's really important to leave something that really represents the community in how they want to be seen and heard, and I think this is such a beautiful way that we can do that, and so if you're considering it, if you're loved ones considering it, we just really encourage you to participate. And if you have questions, if there's something that's unclear, or if we can help make anything easier, please reach out to our communications team as well. We are here to support in any way that we can too. So the communications at pwsausa.org email is your friend. Please let us know if we can help. And thank you. All right. So moving on to some family support news. March is, in addition to National Nutrition Month and many other things we've learned, is also Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. And this year's theme is We're Here, Then, Now, Always. Developmental disabilities are conditions that begin at birth or in childhood and may affect physical development, learning, language, or behavior. While these conditions can present challenges, they are only one part of a person's story. Individuals with PWS are first and foremost people with personalities, talents, preferences, humor, determination, dreams, and I will add creativity as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we often say at PWSA USA, if you've met one person with PWS, you've met one person with PWS. So, to learn more about developmental disabilities and PWS interventions and the intention of this awareness month, you can read a recent blog that will be linked in our show notes. And I really love that statement. It always resonates with me when I hear it and I'm reminded of that. So I'm glad you included that here, Annie. It's really important to remember. In other family support news, the Neurodevelopment Research Lab is offering PWS families an opportunity to participate in a direct in home play intervention for preschoolers with PWS. So, who can participate in this? Families with a child ages 3 to 5 with PWS, and an individual who can be trained as a facilitator to administer the 9 week play intervention in person. Those who could be a facilitator are any adult regularly providing care to the child, such as extended family members, a nanny or babysitter, speech, language, or occupational therapist, or a one on one school aide. And then what does participation involve? It involves completing an online training course for play facilitators and a 9 week play intervention with the child and their parent. So, families and play facilitators will be compensated for the completion of the intervention and assessment. And if you have any questions, you can email the research lab. We will have their email address in our show notes. And you can also call their phone number at 216-368-0112. And we'll also have a website with an eligibility form that people can complete as well. So we'll have that linked in our show notes as well as the email address. And then our Ask Nurse Lynn of the week. This was submitted on behalf of a male who is 38 years old with a deletion subtype. And the question submitted was, we are working with our son's group home to help monitor his food intake. Is there a standard reduction in listed serving sizes we can recommend for them to follow to help his staff with his meals? It's a really good question, and I think this will help a lot of people as well as different homes, group homes. So, Nurse Lynn, who also works in a group home, she's a great person for this question for many reasons, has her response, and we will have that linked in our show notes. And while you're there, if you have a non emergency medical question about Prader-Willi syndrome, please feel free to ask, and we will be in touch with the answer from Nurse Lynn.
So, moving on to research, we have an update for the PWS community on the HERO Phase 3 trial for ARD 101. It is voluntarily paused. So, Aardvark has announced a voluntary pause of the Phase 3 HERO clinical trial evaluating ARD 101 for the treatment of hyperphagia in people with Prader-Willi syndrome. The decision to pause the trial is based on reversible cardiac observations identified in a non PWS separate healthy volunteer study at higher than target therapeutic doses during routine safety monitoring. Aardvark is conducting a comprehensive review of the data to help determine next steps. Out of an abundance of caution, the company has paused ongoing enrollment and dosing in the HERO trial while this evaluation is underway. We understand that news like this can feel disappointing and unsettling. Clinical research is complex, and while pauses are difficult, they are sometimes necessary to ensure studies proceed safely, thoughtfully, and responsibly. If you or your family member is participating in the HERO trial, please continue to direct any immediate questions to your clinical trial site, and we will continue to keep you informed as more information becomes available. And you will find a link to their press release in the show notes. We also have a call for clinicians to help update our database. So, if you are a clinical provider in the PWS community, we're asking you to fill out the form using the link in the show notes. This form is intended to collect information about clinicians that individuals with PWS and their families are currently seeing for care. The information you provide in the form will be added to a PWS clinician database on PWSA USA's website for the PWS community to utilize. So this will make it easier for families in the PWS community to find clinical providers. If this is you, if you're a clinician, please check out the link. And even if you filled it out before, we want an
Yeah.
update. If you have change of address, change of phone number, or even just to let us know, hey, I'm still doing this work. So if you are a clinician and we ask that you fill out the form, please include the address and the phone number of your clinic site. We want to make sure that we're giving people your professional contact so that they can get a hold of you. So there is a new study looking for participant responses to anesthetic in people with PWS. A few cases reported to IPSO, that's the International Prader-Willi Syndrome Organization, describe mental health decline with PWS after surgery. This appears rare, but the risk factors remain clear. The aim of this study is to better understand the problem and determine whether we can identify risk factors to ultimately prevent complication. Caregivers who meet the criteria outlined below will be asked to complete a 30-minute survey. Okay, so who is eligible? Carers and guardians of family members who look after people who have genetically or clinically diagnosed PWS and have the following: at least one past surgical procedure requiring general anesthesia since 2015, and were 12 to 65 years old at the time of the anesthetic. And there is a list of emails to get in contact with, because this is an international study. So I will make sure and put all of those emails in the show notes. And we will also include a link to take the survey. So look for that in the show notes. We have one more study to discuss, and this is to better understand social cognition. So, the Neurodevelopment Research Lab is conducting a study to understand social cognition in young people with PWS. Individuals with PWS ages 8 to 20 and their caregivers are invited to participate. If included, participants will be given a one-time virtual assessment along with caregiver surveys. The study is intended to contribute to the improved characterization of social cognitive skills in individuals with PWS, and compensation for study participation is $100. If you have questions, you can email the Neurodevelopment Research Lab at gmail.com or call 216-368-0112. And yeah, we will have a link to the form to fill out to submit your interest in the study.
So before we end here, I just really want to give a shout out to all of the advocates who went to Rare Disease Week and participated and fought for our community. It is so amazing to see our community come together, but also with the greater rare disease community. 800 plus people is
Yeah.
amazing to descend onto Capitol Hill and into those meeting rooms. And I know I've mentioned it, but in 2024, I was able to go, and it truly is just this amazing feeling that you get, this sense of community and this energy, and you leave and you're like, "I wanna do so many things. I wanna tell the world." So, I know a lot of our advocates were, if not all of them, were in the same boat when they came back, and, I also wanna give a big shout out to Elaine on our staff, who is
Uh-huh.
also a mom, and she brought her son with her, and she rocked it on our social media channels and kept us informed to make sure that we were sharing the right information, and did Facebook Lives for us, and those are saved on our Facebook page in case anyone hasn't seen them yet. I encourage you to go check them out. And I just, yeah, continuously, I'm so inspired by the work that our community is doing. So just had to leave everyone with that and make sure those who were there know that they did an incredible job. And we're very, very grateful.
Thank you for listening to this episode of PWS United. If you want to learn more about Prader-Willi syndrome and how PWSA USA is making strides in advocacy, family support, and research, visit www.pwsausa.org. And while you're there, we encourage you to sign up for our Pulse email newsletter to stay informed about the latest news, resources, and events. Don't forget to subscribe to the PWS United podcast so you never miss an episode. Our team is always available to support families and their loved ones living with PWS 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You can call us at 941-312-0400 or email info@pwsausa.org. Catch a new episode next Tuesday, and until then, have a great week.